It is Ryan Kemper Morning Show with Wanda Smith, and we have a chance to get up close and personal with the hire that everybody's been waiting on to find out who was going to take over the Hawks GM spot and what's going to happen next. And Travis Schlenk is here, of course. Has some roots here in the state from the University of Georgia, but now as the head honcho helping the Hawks hopefully get to the next level. Got to say, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be here.
So with all of how many interviews have you done, and what are the questions? Are people thinking that you could just come in and make a quick decision and have the team go to the next round? Like, what's been a universal question you think you've heard more than any, so I can make sure I don't ask that?
Well, I would appreciate that. I think the biggest thing that people understand is, the biggest theme is big questions in the next few weeks with the draft and free agency. Obviously, they are important questions, but they're questions every team has every year. So it's not unusual to have draft questions and free agent questions, just because of who's a free agent this year. People want to place more importance on it, but they happen every year.
And I guess in trying to find out more about you, they say, Travis is a no-nonsense, straight-from-the-hip type of guy. He's not going to really pull any punches. He knows what he wants to do. When you talk about the organization, and I'm sure you're still trying to figure it all out, but do you see immediate spaces of need? Because one of the things that I've seen or heard is, like, from your former position with the Warriors, you find talent that some people may have not really had on their radar, like a Klay Thompson or a Draymond Green. Is that kind of true or not true, you think?
We were very successful in Golden State with late draft picks, with undrafted guys, finding guys in the D-League from my time there. Hopefully we're going to have the same success here in Atlanta. That's what we hope for. But, we were successful at that in Golden State. Now, I will also say that when you put a guy on the court with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, it's easier to look good.
Right. Do you have a timetable? I mean, walk us through, okay, you guys you put pen to paper, you make the transition, you say to the old people, hey, I'm going to take this gig, and they say, oh, you have our blessings, go ahead and do what you want to do and make it happen. What do you have as a goal for you, let's just say before the season starts, as far as trying to work all the things out? Because we got, the Phillips Arena renovation, we have the D-League team, we've got the Emory University facility. It's a lot of other things that are going on besides putting bodies on the court.
Right. So obviously the first thing we're going to do is going to get together with the staff. First off, everyone needs to know we have a great staff here already in place. So that takes a huge burden off me. They've been working hard. I've got to get in there and make the tweaks that I'd tweak. But it's not like a complete overhaul. We have a great coaching staff in place. We have a great coach in Coach Bud. They've been extremely good in the past of developing young players, and we've got 11 picks coming up in future drafts. So that's going to be real important that when we draft a young man, the coaching staff's going to work to make those guys better. So that's in place. We just got to get ready for the draft, job one, and then we have to start evaluating free agency. Looking at the past, we're going to go down.
We just had someone knock on the door and continue to come on in as we talk about, the Hawks. And, I've been with the organization as the PA announcer for, this will be year 14, but I've, been a Hawks fan and Atlanta native all my life. And going through some of the excitement of John Drew and Dominique and, and Eddie Johnson to the Zaza Pachulia era and through, Josh Smith, the fans have always wanted a lot. And they've demanded a lot. And I'm sure they're expecting not a quick fix, but something that would be, the equivalent of what's happened in Golden State. And if not getting to the finals, to get a championship, because that's what every team wants and every fan base wants. What do you say to fans right now who are saying, okay, he was at the Warriors, so hey, we got the trophy coming in a couple of years? Because I'm sure, people may think it may be not that simple, but because you get the right team together, the right minds together, then it all gels, and maybe that's possible. What do you say to the fans who are excited about you being here?
Well, first of all, thank you. Second of all, it's a process. When I started in the front office in Golden State, that was 7 years ago. So to get to where we are today, it took 7 years to get there. Hopefully opportunities will come and we'll be able to take some steps forward. But it does take time to go from where we are right now to being in the upper echelon of the NBA. It's going to take a little bit of luck. We're going to have some things go our way, but by maintaining our flexibility, increasing our assets, developing the young assets we already have, that's, in my mind, the way that we're going to do it.
Does a GM, as now you've taken this position, would you have an actual conversation with players, like one-on-ones, to try to get to feel each other out? Like, what's that process like? Because I know some people are very standoffish and they have other people that handle those things for them, and then you have some people say, no, I want to sit down and talk to these people and kind of get where their minds are.
Yeah, no, I think it's very important to sit down and get to know the guys on your team and to build a relationship with them. Without that, I don't think you can do a good job. You have to be able to talk to your guys. You have to be able to get inside their heads a little bit. So that's going to be one of the first things, as we move forward, that I'm going to start to do.
Talk about, I think one of the things that I like about my job as working for the team is that sometimes I get to have a great relationship with either players on other teams or our own players. But when you are a guy that goes to work every day, and a lot of our listeners who are at work right now will be listening to this interview, you hear somebody says, well, he's going to opt out of $27 million and see what's out there. And they go, what? Like, how do you say to somebody who's listening to this right now why players test free agency or go out and see if there's more money? Is it because there is more money? Because a lot of people are saying, if I knew I had $27 million coming next year, I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's obviously, when you look at it in real world terms and you talk about the money that's available in the NBA marketplace, it's funny money. Oh man! Now you're making fun. You're making fun of the lady knocking on the door. Yeah, now you're.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, when you look at it's hard to explain. Like I've remember having conversations with people in the past and explaining about the contract size, and it is hard to imagine. But the reality of the new economics in the NBA, those are the dollars these guys are looking at, and you certainly can't blame them. The average NBA player has a 6-year window for their career, so they've got to try to make the most money they can in a short amount of time, and that's why they look to capitalize when they have the option to.
I remember having a conversation with Dennis Schroeder about his deal, and he was saying, I could have gotten more money, but my mom was saying, no, sign, because you never know what's going to happen. And I was like, okay, it's good to see that influence is there to say, because today's hot player, not to take anything against some of the players I've seen in the past, but a guy who's like really, really, doing really well can have a couple of injuries, and it just takes their total game away, which could really affect their wallet. So is it a smarter decision for a guy to, not say take the money and run, but take the security over maybe risking something and maybe having injury and then having to look back at it?
I wouldn't say necessarily smarter decision. I think it's more of a personal preference. Are you someone that, a bird in the hand's better than two in the bush kind of thing?
Right.
But, someone offers, personally speaking, someone offers me, $10 million, I'm signing.
Talking to Travis Schlenk here, of course, in this, radio interview with your, People Station V103 about taking this job. A couple of minutes here, just before we wrap. What's one of the first things on your sheet that you're saying, okay, I need to draw a line through this? After you talk to the staff and maybe sit down and kind of figure where we are as a team. And, of course, go through looking at free agency, because one of the things that people, when you listen to sports talk here in Atlanta, they say no one wants to come and play for the Hawks, and they've been turned down, and the Joe Johnson contract was this, and there's always a yeah, but. How do you change that mindset?
Well, we talked about this earlier today. We want to become a player-friendly organization. Atlanta is a city that a lot of players like to come and spend their summers in. They want to come here and retire here.
They live here. They raise their families here.
Yeah. So we have that going for us. So as an organization, what we have to do is we have to make this a place where the players feel comfortable. Not only the players, their families. We're going to take care of their families. Make their wives feel welcome. Take care of their children at the game. Those are all the things that once you start doing over time, players that are on the current teams, they talk to players on other team and they talk about how great we treat their families. That spreads to the league, and that's ultimately how we're going to do it.
It's funny that you say that, because I remember a good buddy of mine, Andrew Jones, was talking about the difference between playing for the hometown team Braves, and when he went to the Yankees, and they were saying the way they treated the families was the biggest deal. Like the wives went into a parking lot, and there was a security person that escorted them from one place to the next, and he was like, it was like they were treating my family like me. That to me would be a big deal.
Oh yeah, listen, as you know, a happy wife, happy life, isn't that the saying? So it really is. It's a family. That's what we want to create with the Hawks, is a family, and again, not for the player, but for their entire family.
Well, congratulations. We appreciate the time, and we look forward to, hoisting the trophy next year. No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure.
People Station V103. It's the home of the Ryan Cameron Morning Show with Wanda Smith. We're very excited to welcome Travis Schlenk to the Atlanta area and to the team. And you know what? Sky's the limit. Only thing to do is go up.